Boys and girl. So today I'm going to talk about my Pizza Sticks character, which is a Flameblast totem Elementalist. This character ended up being very powerful. It also ended up being extremely budget, so I think if you want a league starter for a hardcore league, this will be very good for you. The only unique right now that we use is, well, Dodry's Damning and also a Beast for Shaw, but I will be switching this out later. But I'll show you some quick gameplay so you get an idea. This, I believe, is a fleet map with extra damage. I'll show you some gameplay, then I'll talk a little bit about the build and all that. So you put down a thing, and the thing goes boom, and everything's dead. You can leave your totem behind. You're always in EXP range, which I will also explain a little bit more in detail in a little bit. Sure, I can get the essence. I don't know if this guy won't be a little bit tanky, so I'll switch out my gem. He died pretty much instantly. If we equip Conk Effect, nothing really lives for long. I'll maybe try to get to the boss. The boss, as some of you might know, is a little bit sketchy on this map, which is the plateau. It's a tier 12, and they changed the boss recently, and it's a little bit sketchy, but hopefully if everything goes right, we'll maybe even one-shot him? I'm not sure. I've done some testing with like Guardians and stuff, and this character pretty much two-shots Guardians with no mods, with Conk Effect equipped in, and if my Conflux is apt at the time. So, it's pretty good. I won't pick up those, you get an idea. You can also use Lightning Orb to make this a lot faster. You can obviously use the Volhaste to make it even faster. And then everything dies. We do run triple curse, but our last curse is only flammability that we apply through this. And you can see even with fleet and no temporal chain hubris, these mobs are really slow, right? Well, should be... Ooh, what was that? That was not worth getting. Wow, a lot of essences in this one. Alright, this is the boss room. We equip our Conk Effect. We go into the Z boss room. I will kill this one first. A little bit tanky. That should be fine. Yeah, these bosses destroy our totems, so that's the big problem. But we can't also get close because of Conk Effect. But you see, once it gets ignited with a Conflux, it pretty much dies immediately. So you can see, even with these mods, it was quite simple. So, like I mentioned before, we do run triple curses, which greatly increases our defense. I also have about 10,000 ES with very budget gear. As you can see, my gloves and my boots are really trash, and as I've mentioned before, the Beast for Shaw will be replaced for a higher energy shield chest piece that will have resist also. It would allow us to gear ourselves a lot better. But the majority of my gear I won't talk about because you can check it out in the description below the stream. Just I will link to my profile and look at the character that's name is RaizQT, and that should give you an idea about that. I have to check if I'm streaming or if I'm recording because I often do that mistake. But we have two possible skill trees. Right now this skill tree is a total mess, so I wouldn't exactly look at it. Aside from this pathing, you've got two options. You can go with the energy from within and pick up life nodes up here, and also heart and soul. This is really helpful because unless you want to pick up reduced mana reservation nodes, which at higher levels with higher leveled enlightens you won't have to, the mana can be a little bit awkward at first. I do use a really bad weapon that's got mana regeneration rate. At this point I can drop it. It's just that I haven't been playing this character all that much lately. But I can drop it, and like I said, don't feel bad about picking up reduced mana reservation nodes at start. Once you get like a level 3 enlighten or something, mine are only level 2. Once you get a level 3, you can easily drop both of them, and as you get higher levels, your mana will go up, your regeneration will go up. You can get regeneration on your jewels, which we get a few of, and yeah, you can also see that I don't even have melding and energy within over here, so that would also greatly increase my ES if I were to use an ES chest piece again. I can probably get about 12.5k energy shield, which is pretty cool. But that's only with this setup where, again, we take Cruel Prep, we take Heart and Soul, and we use the energy within. The other setup that you might possibly run, and this is, in my opinion, personal preference, because we pick up a lot of the curse effectiveness here, as I mentioned before, we do rock 3 curses. The last one is a flammability with the Dodger's Damning for our single target. Bosses do have curse effectiveness on them, but with the current setup, and if I were to take Mastermind of Discord, oh, I guess I'll talk about that in a second, actually. Why Elementalist over Inquisitor? Maybe I should have talked that at the start of the video, but I'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so the setup is that we go down here, and we take Intuitive Leap over here. That way we won't have to pick up this node, or this node, and we can benefit from the regeneration, which is nice with our Beast for Shaw, but even without it, it's pretty nice. We can pick up Radius over here. We can pick up Skittering Runes and Curse Effect, and then that way, you know, you've got even more Curse Effectiveness, 20% more with 3 curses is a pretty big deal. But we do have to sacrifice Cruel Preparation, Heart and Soul, and the potential of picking up Heart of Flame, which, you know, eventually I will do with this build. If I get it to high enough levels, I could do it really right now if I ditch this and get Melding over here, or I could just straight up spec into it, but yeah, that's kind of whatever for me right now. But yeah, why Elementalist over Inquisitor? I won't go too deep into math over here, but the because most people play Inquisitor, right? Because of this one thing. Critical strikes ignore enemy elemental resistance. So, in essence, at most, in any situation, this is 75% penetration. At most, in a situation where the mob is capped out on their resists. And many people disregard the downsides of this. First, we have to crit. So, we sacrifice a lot to pick up crit on our skill tree, which obviously doesn't double dip with our ignite. And it only works best with mobs that are capped on resists. We cannot benefit from any offensive curses, from any supports or ourselves, which is also problematic. And yeah, you sacrifice survivability or better forms of damage like ignites to get that crit going. You know, obviously there's also things like Instrument of Virtue, which is nice attack and cast speed if you're using like Whirling Blades or something. But for this blade, really, you want to use a wand. I'm using a spell damage wand again because my gear is bad, but you want to use a cast speed wand that will work really well. And aside from that, it really doesn't get you much. Now, as for the Elementalist, you've got a couple options. First of all, Beacon of Ruin is amazing for clear speed. There's no arguing. You can prolif shock onto bosses, even though with Conk Effect, I was shocking, you know, Guardians with my Conflux up. But you can totally shock them with this easily, you know, even without having that up. Shaper of Desolation, I mean, it's a huge node. A lot of people know that it's been nerfed, but it's still really powerful. And I mean, even if the fight takes you like 14 seconds, which it never does because the ignite will kill, the shock will kill because we're already igniting through the chance to ignite that we've got on our skill tree, and the fact that we've got curse effectiveness on our flammability linked with curse on hit. It's just great. And then obviously when you've got all 3 of them, you saw what happened to the boss. He was like half-life and then he just blew up with one single flame blast. Right now I have Liege of Primordials. This is because I run a Lightning and a Flame Golem. I like to have friends, so these are what I run. Also, it's 10% cast speed and 80% increased damage because we run 2 golems and their bonuses get doubled. I also run Pendulum of Destruction, obviously an amazing node, 100% increased elemental damage, 25% increased radius. You know, you only don't have it for 6 seconds every 10 seconds, which is not that big of a deal. And again, this increases our single target to obscene amounts. When everything lines up, it's crazy. And then Mastermind of Discord. So The reason why, even for high-end mapping, and this is really what I should do in my opinion, but I haven't felt it just yet, just because of the damage being so absurd with the build, is you drop Leech of the Primordials, you use Mastermind of Discord, and you use Lightning Warp to trigger it. Lightning Warp is a great mobility skill now that it's been fixed. You can see that if I have 100% reduction, it's really freaking fast. It's like actually faster than Whirling Blades, because Whirling Blades attack speed bugs out, so you... At one point, your attack speed is so fast that you start going back because the server can't keep up with you. You don't have that problem with Lightning Warp. You can travel great distance with no freaking cooldowns, and the more attack, the more cast speed you get with it. There's no cap to it, essentially. So, with the Inquisitor, we have to use a crit gem to have enough crit so that we always crit, and even with that, it's difficult to crit. That gets replaced by a fire penetration. This is 37 penetration. On top of it, the Inquisitor doesn't benefit from nodes like Celestial Judgment, or the node that I don't have right now, Heart of Flame, which is another 5%, right? So that alone is, I believe, 42. On top of it, it's Mastermind of Discord, so that's 67, yes? So already, with just these, our penetration is only 8 lower than the maximum potential penetration of an Inquisitor, and we have to crit on top of that. With this, we don't have to crit or anything, and we've got other much higher increases of damage within this. On top of that, like I mentioned before, we run a flammability, which is minus 44. I have about, I think, 70% effectiveness, curse effectiveness on my skill tree. So that's like 70% minus resist on anything that isn't a unique mob or a rare. But even on unique mobs and rares, that's another minus... Well, it's essentially because it's not multiplicative anymore. So it's minus 60 additive effectiveness, which results in our flammability being like 30 or something, 25. So you can already see that even without using an elemental weakness, which you can also do for furthering our damage, we already have much greater penetration than an Inquisitor ever will. We don't have to crit, there's no gimmick to it, we've got higher mobility, we've got higher damage, we've got higher ignites. Elementalist is just straight up better. Yeah, and with Leech, if you don't want to use Mastermind of Discord, you still got higher penetration, and you keep the cast speed, and that's 80% increased damage. So that's my logic for it. I know it took a while to explain, but I feel like it's necessary because a lot of people, again, play Inquisitor, which I feel is very much inferior to this setup. And I think that's really just about it. I'll probably post like a actual edited and everything guide about this. I just wanted to see if people would be excited to see more of this build, because a lot of people were interested, but I need that little bit of an extra push to work on that YouTube stuff. You know, you guys know that I'm more of a streamer boy than a YouTube boy. And yeah, if you've got any questions, please post them under the stream. I'll be sure to explain everything in the next guide if it comes out. And if you want to look at my character and see exactly what gear and what gem setups I'm rocking, just make sure to look in the description of the stream. There will be a link to my profile, and check the character RaizQT, and that should give you an idea of what I'm doing exactly as of right now. Very budget, very much level 100 viable. I believe they're actually, I think Adrian got to 100 this league with something like this, except he actually did Inquisitor. What do you know? Yeah, thanks very much for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one. Sorry this one was so long, but I just wanted to you know, scope out the territory or something. Thanks again. See you guys. Bye!